today we have Ty Chambers. He is a passionate public health professional focused on mental health and well being. He has founded the anti bullying initiative, TRIP. TRIP stands for Teen Rap Intervention Program, held in Atlanta, Georgia. It is my pleasure to introduce Ty Chambers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Fiona. Hey, everyone, my name is Ty Chambers. I live in Atlanta, Georgia. I guess just a quick spiel about myself. I'm a passionate public health professional, as was just previously mentioned, and I'm also very passionate about making music. And so I started this program to basically spread my love of making music to the youth and help spread a message of positivity over time for the adolescents that I'll be working with. And so we can just get started on what I have to present for you all today. I'm just going to explain my program a little more in depth and just kind of explain what we did in the first phases and how we can change things and do better next time for the future phases. I can't see the slides.
Yeah, we're having some technical difficulties with our slides. Give us one moment and we will make sure that you guys are able to see the slides. Our apologies. One moment.
All right. So I will just go ahead and begin. You can go to the next slide. This is just a quick overview of the presentation. I'll start off with kind of like the research that led into developing the program. And so first I'll start off with an overview of the Neighborhood Planning Unit I, which is a southwestern region in Atlanta. And this is kind of the location that I decided to do my research for studying the program that kind of stemmed from grad school. And so I'll be continuing that. And I'll explain a little further. I'll talk about bullying rates in the US and in Georgia schools and some of the limited data and information that we have in this topic area. I'll also cover the effects of bullying on adolescents and substance use. I'll touch on that a little bit and how those factors just stem from bullying perpetration, preventative factors for bullying. Also touch on the overview of the program itself and the components in it. And I'll also go through rap as a musical, not a therapy, but a teaching tool. And I'll also go into how I evaluated the program and changes that I'll make in the future. And then we can conclude from there. Let's see. Hang on. A little error here. Okay. So a brief overview of NPUI. So NPUI, it resides in Fulton County, Atlanta, Georgia. And NPUI is a neighborhood planning unit. As I mentioned earlier, it has a population of about 21,000 residents. Most are Black. And so around 92% are Black, 5.2% are Hispanic, and 1% are white. And so it's predominantly a neighborhood of African Americans. This is sort of like in the inner city of Atlanta, in Buckhead. And so the actual location that I started the program at is called Mother Hubbard Daycare. And I chose that specific location because kids from elementary schools all over Southwest Atlanta attend that daycare. And so I thought it was a good, just a first stepping ground to try out the program since there were kids from multiple schools. And so some more information I have for the research at the bottom, you see there, it says that NPUI has 2 high schools, Darrell High School and Benjamin E. Mays High School, as well as 2 middle schools, Atlanta Smart Academy and John Childs Young Middle School. And so this is sort of where the data kind of was limited. It was limited to middle school. And so my preferred age group for the children is to work before middle school. And so that's kind of where the limitations were. And I think that's where more attention is to be deserved. in the elementary school populations. You can hit the next slide for me. And so here's a little bit more of the description of the distribution of bully perpetration and victimization. And so this statistic, 30% of US students report being involved in bullying situations and roles as bullies, victims, or bully victims, which is bullies who are bullied, kind of like a chain reaction. And so this statistic is for students of all age groups in the US. And so it's around 30%, which is a little high. Personally, I don't want to see any bullying. I don't want to see anything negative go on in the classroom. And so 15% of adolescents in Georgia schools report being bullied by someone else. And also 15.8% of adolescents at schools in the NPUI area, which is also Southwest Atlanta, report being bullied by someone else within the last 30 days. And so this graph that you see here is the Georgia Student Health Survey, which covers middle and high school. And so this is where the data was limited. It didn't go to elementary school. It's not that well studied. And so as you can see, the rates they hit pretty hard for Black and African American students, considering that they are 92% of the population. And it just shows what's there and what's present in Georgia. And so this is just some of the background research that pretty much helps out the cause of anti-bullying. Next slide. So bully perpetrators are known to have a high risk for depression, anxiety, psychological distress, and have psychosomatic symptoms, and they develop suicidal behaviors. And so there is a lot of research on what happens to kids who get bullied and actual bullies who end up growing up and having situations in the future. And so it's not just for students who get bullied. A lot of the data that is shown supports the issues for bully perpetrators. So they're the main ones who have issues later on in life. It shows that bully perpetrators are also more likely to experience low economic status, conflictual family dynamics, and child maltreatment. And they also develop maladaptive coping mechanisms for these issues. And so they either have them or they likely develop them in the future. And so they're more likely to use illicit substances, commit criminal activity, and other deviant behaviors, studies have shown. Next slide. So in the United States, reportedly 1 in 4 or 5 adolescents has a mental health disorder. Do you mind moving that mouse out of the way? Thank you. Has a mental health disorder. 31% of that population suffers from anxiety disorder, 14.3% from mood disorders, and 14.3% from substance use disorders. It's a little more specified information. Bully perpetration is negatively associated with a student's level of self-regulation or self-control. And this is probably the most key factor in the program and why I developed it. And so emotional self-regulation refers to the understanding, acceptance, and modulation of emotional responses is a process that children and adolescents carry to take on in order to adapt their psychosocial environment. And it also helps students orient themselves toward the achievement of their evolutionary goals and favors their mental health. So this is all about how kids control themselves throughout their social interactions in the classroom, and it can even stem into the home. And so emotional self-regulation, that's the key factor that is missing in bully perpetrators and bully victims. Bully perpetrators, they don't have the self-control. And so since they're picking on kids who are easily to be bullied, now as a result, they don't have the self-regulation. It's sort of like a chain reaction. And that's also how bullies who get bullied comes to be. And so that's one thing that I just wanted to hone in and focus on and just help kids foster basically throughout the program. And so a lot of that was is just by having a positive role model present with the kids. And so that changes a lot of what's happening and also keeping them occupied. And so, yeah, next slide. Prevention and control mechanisms. And so these are things that I looked into to how to actually prevent bully perpetration and victimization, and also promote a positive school environment for the students. And so I've learned that school-based anti-bullying programs are effective in reducing both bully perpetration and bully victimization. And so they help for both sides of the spectrum. They help reduce bully perpetration by 19 to 20% and victimization by 15 to 16%. And so it helps with perpetration more than it does victimization, and perpetration is the main source of the issue. And I've also found that rap and singing interventions are useful for self-regulation, development of coping strategies, and behavioral changes for adolescents. So I'll be diving a little bit more deeply into that pretty soon. You can hit the next slide for me. So my proposed solution is TRIP, the Teen Rap Intervention Program. That's sort of how that came to be. I took my love for music and wanted to help change a public health problem that was very common in my area. And so this is how it came to be. The program components, they include song communication groups, creative activities such as lyric writing, group song performances, role modeling, freestyles, and sort of an overall music and creation project towards the end of the semester, where students can showcase to their parents and their friends alike. And so to kind of dig a little further into these areas, the song communication groups, this is just sort of everyday discussion that I wanted to have with the kids and that they can have amongst each other, to just talk to each other and just discuss things that they may not have talked about without someone else being present in the room. And this is just things that relates to music. Music is very relatable. And I think that's one of the main building blocks of how the program came to be. And so different songs like Kanye West, Can't Tell Me Nothing, involves themes in trusting yourself. That's one thing that I've learned that I can like talk to the kids about and just ask how they've had to trust themselves being brave in a certain situation to overcome something that they may have been afraid of, sort of things like that. Different ways that I can discuss certain topics that they may not be able to talk about as easily with one another or maybe with their family. Like Snoop Dogg, Lay Low, which talks about hate and conflict. And, you know, I played them the clean versions, but they have themes that cover different topic areas that you wouldn't think that are relatable to kids in school. Jay-Z, Some People Hate, which talks about jealousy. And it's just different things. Different songs talk about different moods. And so it's very universal. Different creative activities, which involve the lyric writing, the group song performances. This is like the main bread and butter of the program, especially the group song performances, because it helps them get vulnerable around one another. And I think that vulnerability is what leads to the opportunity for them to bond with one another and know just better how to deal socially and emotionally about themselves and about who they're around. And so that's one of the key things about the program is the actual performances. The themes of anti-bullying, they're there and they're also going to be present. I'm not going to say for a songwriting session, they have to talk about being bullied. They need to know that the topic is there and they can consider it. And I'm not going to stop talking about the topic because it's very important, especially when they get older. And so these are just some of the things that are in the program. Also role modeling, which is visits from rappers who can share personal stories and experiences and also help them with the music making process. So this can be just a quick visit, or, you know, they can actually be helping out. And the role modeling is there. A lot of people, they have stories that others can admire to and just look up to. And so I just want to promote a positive environment by having positive role models come in. And so a lot of kids that love rappers and they love rap music. And so if it's in a positive light, I'm all for it. Um, Freestyles. So it's also just another thing about group cohesion and just strengthening a rap skill and just being comfortable around one another. Just saying what you feel. And so freestyles, I think it's great as well. It's a great tool for that. It's just like a sort of impromptu improvisational thing that can just happen. But freestyles, it's everyone has fun with it. The kids love having fun freestyling over just instrumentals. And so that's one of the big components of it too. An album and music video creation. And so this is pretty much a project that they're going to work on throughout the 12 weeks that I'm going to be with them. Because it's around a 12-week program. And so I just want them to work on a project that they could show for themselves, to show that the hard work that they've put in. And so they have something to take home with them and enjoy as well. And so album and music video creation. I also had for the first phase, a videographer come in and just kind of go with them, just overall like functions of the camera and how video creation kind of plays into that, different things and different creative avenues that they can get into and learn how to utilize for any creative outlet needs that they need. Next slide. So rap music as a teaching tool. Rap music as a music genre is listened to and made in virtually every country in the world and is the most popular music genre among listeners aged 12 to 35. So it's basically young people's genre and it's everywhere. Rap music is made to be everywhere. It's very universal. And so, as you just read, in virtually every country, they have their own rap music. People make their own rap songs. If you don't listen to rap music, I can assure you, you probably know one by heart and just don't know it. And so this is one thing that I just found fascinating. Lupe Fiasco, he's a famous rapper who also just studies the inner workings of rap music as well. And he's one of the big inspirations behind me putting this together. Last year, he had a visiting professorship at MIT where he taught a course about rap music theory and practice. And so he just went into different details about rap music and how it's put together and what you can actually do with it. There are different functions of rap music other than just making songs about money, drugs, guns, what have you. It can have an actual value of teaching. And I mean, we see that all the time in nursery rhymes, different use of acronyms, and things where little kids help like learn their phonics, things like that in the classroom. And so he dives into it a little more throughout his lecture. And you can actually find that lecture if you go on YouTube, just type in Lupe Fiasco MIT. It's a whole lecture about his breakdown of rapping. He's been very successful with the skill as far as selling it in an artistic format and making art with his skill. And so he explains all of that in the video. But what I took from it is he stated that rap music contains micro decisions which may consist of stretching or extending specific vowels and words to achieve or regulate certain tones, moods, or temporalities. And so it's a lot about how emotion is used to invoke certain words. And so it's to help the listener understand how you feel, what you mean with what you're saying by playing with the words. And you can do that a lot better than just writing it in a straight sentence. You can make it in a song to where it's more felt. And so he explains a lot of that more in his video. And I just thought it was very interesting to include into this presentation. You can hit the next slide. And so he also goes into the use of acronyms and just what he defines rap to be. And so he said that raps is basically a series of relationships, associations, parallels, and surprises. And surprises is one of the main key components of what it actually is as a teaching tool. And so I love this breakdown personally because as a rap music listener, his acronym breakdown of raps, it basically explains everything that you hear. And you'd be surprised to know the things that you may find out when listening to it as far as rap containing relationships, because a lot of it is very relatable. You just don't know it sometimes. He explains how surprises are basically surprising information that has been shown to impact what we remember and facilitate transfer of learning strategies, inducing uncertain mood like surprise has been found to lead to more systematic processing, which might aid in learning. So he got this quote from doctors that he studied for his lecture. I just wanted to include that in the slide as well, because I think the element of surprise is probably one of the most important things. That's actually how we learn things, is because we didn't know something before and now we know it. It's a surprise. And I think that also attributes to the vulnerability aspect of the performances. So when you become vulnerable with someone, you tell them information that they didn't know before. Now they know you a little better. That's the surprise of it. And so it's really a matter of being human in a sense, the raps, if that makes sense. It helps us connect with one another. And so that's the surprise element of it. And so next slide. That you can cover all of, you can look at all of that in his lecture. It's a very good lecture. But emulating a study. And so this is a kind of what I emulated my program after. It's this research study by Dr. Oleg. She's a musical therapist in the Netherlands, and she did a similar program with 8th graders. And so her program was called Rap Sing MT, which stands for Rap Sing Music Therapy. And she basically did a case control study where she had students fill out strengths and difficulties questionnaires. It's a type of questionnaire to get just a hold of your difficulties in emotional regulation. And it asks questions like, I get angry often and lose my temper, or I think before I do things, and then answers will be not true, somewhat true, or certainly true. And so it's that, along with the difficulty in emotional regulation scale, the DARES, as you can see, slightly below this DQT on the right-hand side. Those questions, because this is another questionnaire, the difficulties in emotional regulation scale, it states questions like, I'm attentive to my feelings. When I'm upset, it takes me a long time to feel better. And so the answer choices will be like almost never, sometimes, most of the time, or always. And so she found that the student's self-esteem was enhanced by being able to accept both the positive and negative lyrics, which in turn trained problem-solving skills and modulated or reduced destructive feelings. And so to kind of explain it again, if I didn't explain it better, she did a before and after test to see the differences in what their scores were. And so she found that there was a significant increase in reports of aggressive behaviors throughout the SDQ questionnaire. And so she showed that since there was an increase in that report, in the control, in the experimental group, I think she said that it stayed the same. Yes. So there was a positive result in the research that she had for her students. And so this is basically what she found. If I explain that better, I could explain that a little better, but I apologize. Let me know if y'all have any questions afterwards. Can you hit the next slide for me? And so this is also how I decided to just evaluate the program. I used the pre-seed and proceed model, which are some kind of well-known evaluation frameworks. And I also used the re-aim model, which I used to just map out what I wanted to do in terms of getting the program adopted to other locations. And so, yeah, this just goes over the steps taken, the social assessment, which is where I found the target population, which is African American adolescents, the epidemiological assessment, number 2, which just goes over the strengths and difficulties questionnaire for the students, teachers, and parents. And so this questionnaire, it can be given to the students, teachers, and the parents so they can all get a scope of how the student is in the classroom. And the results, I believe, came back better for the questionnaires filled out by the teachers. And so sort of a teacher evaluation, see the kids, they had a more clear picture of how the child behaves in a classroom setting. This is also some of the other information I can go over, the behavioral and environmental aspect of the precede and proceed model. This is the DARES. And so this is more like impulse control, lack of emotional awareness. And these are things that the students can fill out for themselves. They can have a self-assessment. And so I want to see how that plays better in the future too. And so these are just steps that I took to evaluate and what I looked at for the process after I completed the program. Let's see, administrative and policy assessment, intervention, and alignment. And so this just ensures that the bully prevention is integrated into the curriculum. So this is sort of more in the future, just identifying policy gaps and just where there are gaps in whatever bully perpetration policies schools may have. This is sort of evaluating those gaps and seeing where it could be better. The implementation of the program itself, it's a little bit redundant, but this is kind of how I mapped it out to begin with. You can hit the next slide. And let's see, I got a question. I'll look at that in a second. Hang on. Let me just finish this. Get my mind on the same track. This is also the process evaluation, just of how I looked at everything and how I compared the results from before and after. And also, I'll say I'll skip to the bottom. Number 8, the outcome evaluation, which is revisiting the initial bully perpetration NPUI data. And so this is looking at, is there an actual change in the data overall in the NPUI area? And so to see if there's a better change. Are schools just reporting more positivity, more positive environments between their students after this program has been implemented? I just want to know things like that. And also knowing on the students level, changes over time, like, are they doing better in school? Are they feeling better about themselves? It's different things that's involved in tracking their progress. And so these are just sort of ways that I went about mapping that out. Next slide. And this is also the re-aim model that I mentioned. This is what I was looking at to ensure the program is actually adoptable. And so this is just different components of the program. And it includes, I'll say, in the reach section of the re-aim, the reach is about 5 to 15 participants. And so I ideally want to do that low amount of a student base. Too many students may be a little too much at a time. And so the program's sessions, it'll contain about 5 to 15 students. The effectiveness of the program, actually making sure the SDQ and the DARES and improvement scores are actually effective in showing the students' behaviors and emotional states throughout school. the adoption of the program. So it started at one location, and I want to increase it to 2 or more within the next couple of years. And so this is just about evaluating the appropriateness of the actual school, of the location. So like, does the school have enough bullying for it to make sense to implement the program in it? Is it just appropriate for the environment of the school? And so next we have implementation, which is about 2 to 3 days a week. The program is about 2 to 3 days a week. And so only for about an hour or two at a time. So it's for a short amount of time. A lot of kids, they don't have a lot of the attention span to remain in it for more than that. And so I just want it to be something fun that they can do that also is very impactful at the same time. And so I just want to hit a sweet spot for it to be effective. And so next we have maintenance. And so just making sure to keep checking back on that evaluation status. Just knowing that we can always look for program effectiveness and listening to what the students have to say as far as, are they getting anything out of the program? Is there anything that can be better? What do they want to see next time they're in the program? So I'll continue off here to say for this first run of the program, I actually had a lot of difficulties with the questionnaires, getting before and after results. The student base, they were a little young for the implementation of everything. And so they didn't take the questionnaires as seriously. But throughout different interviews that I've had with the students, I was able to get some very good information as far as how they felt about it. What are some factors that may contribute to them even finding the program useful? Because a lot of them, they really need the program. And, you know, they didn't necessarily know that they needed it until after they were doing something that fun or something that enriching to them. And so the interviews gave me a lot of insight as well. I conducted interviews for the students. And so I just wanted them to be vulnerable and honest about how they enjoyed the program per se. And I wanted them to start to think about their feelings. And so I just asked them questions centered around that. And so yeah, it's something I definitely want to advance in the future. I think because I had so much difficulty with the questionnaires in the beginning, I want to modulate them to make it easier for the students to fill out. Because a lot of the limitations where students didn't understand the questions being asked to them, or some of them, they were illiterate. They couldn't read the questions. They didn't understand. And so these are like little barriers that I had to take note of that I can improve on in the future of doing the program, since it's a comparative analysis of their emotions essentially. And so yeah, next slide. So this finally is a promotional video that I made of the first run of the program to kind of showcase what we did. And if you mind playing that for me. Uh-oh.
So everyone, we're gonna give our tech person a minute to see what's going on with the video. I don't know if it's too large or not, but maybe we can get it at the end. But right now, let's get into a little questioning and answering while we wait. With the portion, if you have any questions, please add them to the chat. And let's start with Miss Carol Brown. Her question was, were all the students included in your research from the high schools and middle schools from Buckhead communities you mentioned earlier?
Hi, Carol. No, they actually were from different elementary schools. Say for example, like Hutchinson Elementary, or I believe John Childs Young was a middle school, but they were different elementary schools. Like M. Agnes Jones is another that they attended, but they're mainly from elementary schools. The research that I found was only limited to high school and middle school, so there wasn't a lot of research for elementary school. And I was saying that's an area that I think just needs to be studied further.
Does anyone have any more questions? Okay, it said, what songs were used and were they well received? Did the kids know the songs? Now that's a good question.
Yeah, they they were a lot of them were songs that the kids knew. I sent Ms. Dasha a playlist of some of like the instrumentals that we used for the freestyles and whatnot, and some of them even like dancing to the songs. But I put on the clean version of the songs, but a lot of them were TikTok songs that they like.
Oh,
They love TikTok songs, and so yeah, different songs on TikTok were the ones that they liked the most. A lot of them like Juice World too. Juice World and SZA. Those are some artists that the kids like a lot that they mentioned.
okay. So do you know of any research been done about the intersection of adverse childhood experiences and bullying?
Yeah. Um, there's actually a lot of research on that. And I can send you some more resources as well. I should have put some in the chat, but my resources honestly go from like PubMed research straight into the manuscript that I wrote up for Trip. And so I can have that posted or linked somewhere as well, the manuscript that I wrote up after I ran the program. But there was a lot of information about adverse childhood experiences and bullying. Um, I mentioned before in the presentation, a lot of those adverse childhood experiences, they are common amongst the bully perpetrators. And so that's one thing that came up a lot in the research as well.
Okay, so Carol said, do you think you may be able to find a comparable script already published in the literature, or will you be able to start your, I guess she asking, or will this be your original design? Something that you created from scratch?
Um, so this is something I did create from scratch. I modeled it after a research study that was in the Netherlands, that I mentioned before. And so hers was just with a much older age group than what I'm studying. And so I'm taking the analysis notes of how she analyzed their moods and behaviors. And so I incorporated that into my program. Um, I have my book with me, but hang on one second. I'll be right back. Let me grab something.
Okay. So everyone, just to let you know, I just talked to the tech and the video is large. So what we do is when we send out the PowerPoint, we'll send out the video within that same email attachment, but it'll be separate from the PowerPoint. So you will still be able to view it, okay?
Okay, and this is some of the reference material I use. It's called Therapeutic Uses of Rap and Hip Hop by authors, you can see here, Suzanne Hadley and George Yancey.
Okay.
And so this is a book, it has a lot of similar programs that use hip hop to just address at-risk youth and adolescents in like inner cities, different youth programs that use hip hop as a basis to help them help bring a positive influence to the youth essentially. And it's pretty deep. There are actual like research cases in this book that I found very important in developing my program. And so I took notes from here as well. Um, and I can put that in the chat too.
Yes, thank you. So, Miss Haiti or Heidi, I don't want to mess your name up. Her question was, were you the main only facilitator for a trip, or did you train others, have other facilitators?
I was the main facilitator. I had a couple of people help me out with the program and running the program. And so as far as like the beat making and the filmography side of it, they were friends who make art as well. And so I had them help me with it. But I was the main facilitator in putting it together. It started while I was at Morehouse School of Medicine, getting my MPH degree. And so they helped me. I was able to secure a grant from them to help put the program together. And so they helped me initially start the program and get everything done so I could actually have something to show for. So Morehouse School of Medicine was a big part of that.
Wow. Okay.
Very thankful to them for that.
Yeah. Okay. So, next question. Do you see this being effective for all subsects of children and adolescents? She wants to know about different races, socioeconomic statuses, neighborhoods, environments.
I believe so. Fundamentally, I think hip hop is for everybody. I think music is for everyone. And so I had that mindset coming into this program for this specific group of kids. And so it's very transferable to children of all races, all statuses, all socioeconomic statuses and neighborhoods and environments. Yes. Mhm.
During the selection process, was SES a factor?
Um, no, it wasn't. I did not look too much into the SES as a factor for the selection process. Um, the opportunity to station it at Mother Hubbard, it was given to me at first by Morehouse School of Medicine as a connection to a group of students from elementary schools, which is where I wanted to test it. And so that's why I chose that. But no, the SES was not a factor.
So, we have a question from Sarah. Can you say more about what you noticed from the interviews? She's more curious about if you notice how kids articulate their own emotions because they were seeing the examples of other express those in rap songs.
Yeah, so throughout the interviews, I just asked them a few quick questions like, since being in the program, how do you feel around your peers in school? It was simple questions that I just wanted to kind of get the kids to talk a little bit more about themselves and just reflect on the activities in the programs. And so it'll be little things like that. What would you like to see come out of the program in the future? And so I kind of wanted to give them something more to look forward to in the program that they can become more invested in it. And so different things like that, how I screen for like their just how they thought about their social awareness throughout the program. I just wanted to kind of get what was on their minds. They may not have known why I was asking them. I just wanted to get an understanding so I knew where their heads were at, whether they went through the program and just forgot about it, or they're actually going to take something home with them and just utilize that information for the future. And so there were just a few questions. I can look them up briefly, but I can touch on that later as well. Um,
So, does anyone have any more questions for Mr. Chambers? That was some great questions. You guys had some great questions, and he had some great answers. So, if that is all the questions, going once, going twice. Okay, so the Region 2 of the Region Medical Library want to apologize about the slides earlier and the video. So within a week, you will receive an email with the recording of this session, and I'm going to put the link into the promotional video that he had to go with the PowerPoint so you guys can take a look. Also within that email, you will have a survey with instructions on how to obtain CE credit for this. We look forward to seeing you at future events, and have a great rest of y'all day.
Thanks for watching. This video was produced by the network of the National Library of Medicine. Select the circular channel icon to subscribe to our channel, or select a video thumbnail to watch another video from the channel.